All right, we are live. What is up, guys? This is the Cafe Trader. It's just like how you read in the heading. Is crypto crashing? You're seeing massive moves down in Ethereum and DOGE and XRP, and a lot of sellers are seeing stepping in here. So, what does that mean? Are we down for some bearish wins in the short term? Well, we're going to find out here, and we're going to start with Bitcoin because really Bitcoin is the backbone of all crypto, as you know, the highest market cap. When Bitcoin moves, everything else seems to respond. You hear a lot of people talking about altcoin season. Really, what that is meaning is that altcoins are catching sympathy, or they're getting a reaction from all of uh, the money pumping into the crypto markets across the board. So with that in mind, let's just take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's sitting at roughly 110,000 USD, peeling off the highs of about 125. That's about, we'll say, 17% down, right? Roughly from its highs. And Bitcoin has made an outstanding run, right? All the way from about 16,000 and a few years ago to just this massive move. Does it have more legs? Well, this is what's going to be the key indicators here of how we know whether we have more legs in the short term or the long term. And that's going to come down to who has control in the market. So if we're looking a little bit closer here on the daily, you see I've marked out different demand points here. And this is where strong buyers are going to be looking to reinforce their positions. As of right now, every buyer there's not one strong buyer, even this light demand's a strong buyer, that has been taken out from these sellers. But it's important to note that this one right here is in fact a new seller. It is a brand new seller here on the markets as of last week. So we're entering into this era now. We've identified our first seller, our first real seller in months. So since February, March. So this is going to be interesting. How do we capitalize on this? And how can we make sure that we are on the right side? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. So on the daily, now it's important to note that I like to view these players as end of the week players. So for example, this demand, if we were to, for example, if we were to come down even lower than this Thursday, but pop up above this level Friday, this has not changed. This demand level is not filled. It's not, they're gone. This player stays intact. So this is important to note, and I like to think of it on the end of the week because a lot of stuff can happen midweek, and I like to think of how a week opens and how a week closes. So if we close back above this, this is going to say that these buyers, they're still there and they're still strong. If we close below these buyers and actually take out a strong demand here, this could actually start the beginning of these bearish wins. Now, if we don't, if we were to hover around this area, kind of come up, come down, come up, maybe like a tap in, come back up, all of this still is bullish. And everyone, well, I shouldn't say everyone, I personally am not going to be bearish on Bitcoin. And it's still, even if they crack this light demand, I'm going to turn from bullish to neutral. And really from then, I'm still bullish, but then it's like, well, how can we find better pricing? Where is it going to go to? And if that does, we can do a whole nother video on how we know where it's going to go to. So that's an important key to note. So it's all up to this buyer right here. This is the key buyer right here. Our text here. This is our key buyer. This is really how this buyer lands, is how everything is going to play out here. Everything depends on this buyer here. So as you can see, we're tapping into this liquidity and it's starting to scoop up a touch, but it's really going to be dependent. Now, if we can't find new buyers, this is also important to note. If you cannot find new buyers, especially in this range here, we need to find buyers that get above this area here. If we can't find buyers to get above here, it's going to put more pressure on the slight demand. So even if this isn't a quote unquote real aggressive seller, which it is in the short term, but let's just say for in theory that this is not a real seller, you still need new aggressive buying interest to take the market up. Otherwise, it's going to put a lot of pressure on this demand, and it's insinuating that buyers are satisfied, and it drops. So that's Bitcoin. For the short term, I think the medium demand, this is going to be your higher likely. That 100K mark is going to be your higher bounce point here. But that's for later. Just keep an eye. If we do crack and you see this video in passing, this is going to be a bigger bounce point, this 100K level. Ethereum. Now, Ethereum is a different case. We just broke out at all-time highs here. We have a couple different trends here. So I've drawn it out in conservative and aggressive. So, and this is the sentiment of these buyers. Conservative buyers are going to be looking to take in and look at value that goes up on this trend line here. Aggressive buyers are looking to take this up and they've steepened their incentive, their whatever the word I'm looking for, their conviction in this market for Ethereum. So here I've played out two scenarios. If these buyers continue to be aggressive, this is going to continue up. It's important to note that unlike Bitcoin, Ethereum doesn't have a real seller yet. So it's just strong buying for Ethereum, even with this 8%. We got an 8.4% day up there. You can see it. This is still bullish in the shorter time frame. So top of demand here, this is where your real buyer is for the week. So we're still blasted away. This is still your real buyer. Aggressive line is most probable to catch a bounce of 4,200. So don't be scared. Everything's still in play. And I wouldn't really worry until we actually crack below 34. If it closes at the end of the week before 34, we could then tap down and play a totally different levels, and I'll mark all of those out as well. But in the short term, we could even, if we wanted to be bearish, let's just say Bitcoin, for example, ends up coming down to this medium demand, we might see Ethereum rotate down here before we catch a bounce. So, and this would be roughly the 36, 38, 100 level for Ethereum. I'm still very bullish on Ethereum, though. I think it's going to be very aggressive if the markets hold up. So Doge, now getting to a couple of different altcoins, I don't know if people would consider, actually, you know what, let's do XRP instead of Doge, because this is a little less controversial in terms of it being an altcoin. There's a lot of, I think this is the third biggest, right? XRP is the third biggest market cap coin. I think I heard that. I didn't do much research. Not that it matters. I'm a technical trader. So I marked these trap buyers out a long time ago. I was marking out that this isn't a real seller yet. Now it is important to note that it is becoming to look like this is a real seller. So at the time we didn't really identify it, but now we might actually be a real seller here. So it's important to note we definitely have a new seller here. Now, what's up with the strong buyer? I'm going to take this away for a moment here. This is a trading idea we had with our entry that entered right over here. I put this on our trading view. I'm going to get rid of this. So important to note that we have not closed at the end of the week below this level yet. Not below this level. I think for crypto it closes on, when does it close? Like on a Sunday or something like that. What does it close on? Yeah, whatever it is, it hasn't closed. So we're tapping into this area now on the weekly. But it's important to note that it's about how we close. This is looking some of the most bearish. Because these strong buyers are, it's up to these guys. If this closes below at the end of the week, this could get really hairy. Now, I want you to take note of the type of price action we're seeing here. This is pretty clean price action that you're seeing here. Pretty clean. Not a ton of, there's a little bit of overlap here, but not a ton of overlap. Not like this. This is just pure overlap all the way down, right? Besides, yeah, even here, pure overlap. So When you have a lot of this messiness here in these candles, it's very likely to get ran through. As opposed to very clean movement, it's likely to catch and hold support. So this is important to note because when we start getting some more clean price action coming in, this is starting to look more like real aggressive selling into XRP. So we have this identified new seller here. Do have these trap buyers here. These are both bearish cases because XRP failed its breakout. Tried to break out, tried to make new highs, failed to break out. This is trap buyers. They're looking to break even on their sentiment here. A new seller stepped in. So likely we can get a case scenario where maybe buyers come up again. If they can't get over here, this is going to put tons of pressure, and we might actually get our real bad move back down to the 190s, maybe even a little bit lower. We could test all of this new liquidity, and we get a little. I don't want to say a crash, but definitely we'd probably be in this range here, the 130s. Maybe even the $1 range here on XRP. Not to freak out yet. Again, you still have this strong buyers, and if they fail at the end of the week, me personally, I'm going to rotate out. By the way, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Trading is extremely risky. I'm going to rotate out if it closes because I got my entry right here. So I don't mind taking a little loss here because and expecting a big rotation. But I would wait until you tap down into this 190 range before we catch some new buyers again in the short term. That's XRP. So Doge. Now, Doge has been fantastic. I know it's a meme coin, but I mean, you can't. This price action is just insane, going from 10 cents all the way up to 50 cents. It's like 500% in just a couple of months, back down to almost 10, 13 cents again. It's just insane, right? So it's important to note I have a lot of levels marked out. This is looking a little messy, but here's what's important. This is your key levels here. We have a reinforced seller here. So before it used to just be one strong seller, but then another strong seller came in, reinforced this position. This is looking bearish. We're also closing again. Let me just see here. What do we got? Yeah, we're closing. If this is your key buyer on Doge, but this is a lot of pressure. This is a ton of pressure that it's going to put on Doge. But I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if we just bounced back and forth and tried to break out and come back down until we do that. We could do that for months. It could be months. If Bitcoin and Ethereum get good runs, that's going to be much more bullish, right? So those things are to keep in mind. We're going to get rid of this level, by the way, as of that is gone now. So that is Doge for you. Here's your key buyer. Now, key buyer, if these buyers can't hold, here, we get a close below. I'm rotating out until extreme demand. This is where buyers are going to be hot again, really hot again on Doge. So this is your idea on Doge. So don't panic yet. Your real buyers are still intact. They're still intact. You're still getting hot reactions from your buyers. I don't even know where your buyer would be on. Well, actually, I do, but let me see here. Buyers would roughly be, I think here, yeah. So you have buyers. Let me look here. Yeah, so you have buyers roughly right here, and then you have the tippy tip of this little new buyer here, right? So these are your buyers on a smaller time frame, but this top of demand is really where the big buyers are stepping in the short term. So all of this needs to be kept in mind, and that is Doge. So last look here, I just wanted to take a peek at Tesla. I know this isn't crypto, but this is just something to keynote because a lot of people are talking about this trend break and this consolidationary break here. This still could rotate down before it moves up. we only have a couple touch points on this bottom trend here. This is more of your conservative line. This is going to be more of your aggressive buying. Don't get me wrong. We've been consolidating for years, right? We're still in the range from 21, pretty much, right? Pretty much this range here. We're pretty much still in this range, right? And just maybe at the top of it. But still, from this whole range, this is years of consolidation. So this could move, but I would expect a move at least down to this 290, 300 before we get another rotation up. I think shorts are going to try and suppress this one last time, one last hoorah, and maybe get some tight, gnarly looking price action like this, right? Some very tight, very suppressed, very tight, very suppressed price action before we get a big move. Typically, when you have big moves and swings on the reds, on the red days like this, to me, shorts still have a lot of juice. They still have a lot of juice when they can move the market this much. It's when things start getting very tight, that's when big moves start to happen. That's when you start getting your 12%, 13% days, and you get these crazy moves in the market. So just something to keep in mind. When you start to get this funky chop like this is kind of tighter. This is kind of tighter, but it's not as tight as I want to see Tesla. I really want to see it crammed up here. So things to keep in mind on Tesla as well. So here's a couple different scenarios. If we do a break above, this is your key seller here. And this is really the last seller. If you break above this seller here, break above this seller, that's it. Tesla's going. And it's not going to stop until probably up here at least 465. So if you can catch it a bit above 370, it's moving probably another $100. There's really nothing stopping it. Nothing in the way really of Tesla up until then. So there's 4 cryptos plus Tesla to keep an eye on. If you guys follow me on TradingView, I publish these articles. You can just catch a look at all of these articles. I'm talking about how Palantir is a bubble, right? This is a controversial topic, right? And we get to see that, I don't know about you guys, it kind of looks like a bubble popping to me. And then this is where your real institutional buyer is. I'm writing all these articles. I'm giving you guys closed prices. I say order canceled, but I was supposed to chart this as a new chart. That's why. But this is beautiful. This is exactly what we wanted. There was a new buyer that came in, but it actually immediately got eaten up. That's a bubble. That's what happens in bubbles. So very interesting to see with all these. You guys can have access to all my charts. If you guys want updates and ideas about what to do, you can hit me on X. If you guys want to see some of my latest articles, you can also see my live trading on the NASDAQ, what the strategy has done, and I'm even giving some live trades here. So that is the Cafe Trader, and I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you watched all the way through, subscribe please, thumbs up. We got more content coming, more charts coming, and I plan on doing 50 a month, 50 forecasts a month